And welcome to another reading lesson. Yesterday, we got to dig into Geraldine the Music Mouse and learn that it is a story. And today, we're going to continue to look at pages in the book Geraldine the Music Mouse and find key details. So, here's our reading thinking job. I can identify key details in a text. Thumbs up and repeat after me. I can identify key details in a text. Identify means we're going to find, we're going to discover, we're going to dig into the text and pull out key details that helps us better understand what Geraldine the Music Mouse is mostly about. So let's talk about key details, and then we're going to find our reading steps that will help us get to our reading job. And we'll look at some pages in the text, Geraldine the Music Mouse. We talked about key details a little bit a couple weeks ago, having to do with My Five Senses, our informational text. Today, we're going to be finding key details in our story, Geraldine the Music Mouse. So key details are important parts of the story. Some questions you might ask are who is in the story, what is the story mostly about, where does it take place, and what happens in the story. Key details give important information about characters, setting, and events. Today, we will learn to find key details in a story that you can understand the story's meaning. And we're going to focus finding these key details in Geraldine the Music Mouse. Our reading thinking steps today to get to our reading thinking job of I can identify key details in a text. There are 2 steps today. In step 1, we're going to look for details about the main characters. Who is the story mostly about? The setting, where is it taking place? When is it taking place? Important events that happen. What happens at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story? So first, here's step 1. Let's look at the details about the main character, the setting, and important events. So characters may be people, animals, or other creatures. We're going to look at the words to see if it tells us about a time or a place or an action, which is a setting. Also, we can look at picture details to show us about the characters, where they are, where they might be going, also what they might be doing. I'm going to read the text on the page, and then your teacher's going to pause the video and talk to you about what you heard and see that helps you better understand who the character is, when, the setting, when and where it is happening, and what's these pages mostly about. Geraldine had never heard music before. Noises, yes, many noises. The voices of people, the slamming of doors, the barking of dogs, the rushing of water, the meows of cats in the courtyard, and of course, the soft peeping of mice. But music, never. Then one morning, in the pantry of the empty house where Geraldine lived, she discovered an enormous piece of Parmesan cheese, the largest she had ever seen. Eagerly, she took a little bite from it. It was delicious. But how would she be able to take it to her secret hideout in the barn? Your teacher's going to pause the video and you're going to talk about who is the main character, where and when is it happening, and what are they doing? Great. You might have said that the main character is this mouse's name. We sure do. It's Geraldine. Geraldine is the main character. Did we hear and see what the setting may be? Remember, the setting is when and where. I heard that she was in a pantry in an empty house. I also heard at the end of the text that she was trying to get the cheese back to her hideout in the barn. That must mean the setting will take place in a barn. That's where we're going to see where the book takes place. What is happening? On these pages, it tells me she's visited and wants to get it back to her hideout in the barn. Wow, we were able to find out the main character, place, and what she's trying to do by just looking at these pages and listening to the words. To look at step 2. What details do you need for the story to make sense? Throughout this text, there are tons of details that help us better understand the story. There's also details that might confuse our thinking. I'm going to read the words on the page, and then we're going to talk about some key details that are important and interesting that help us better understand the story, and also talk about some key details that are not important and we wouldn't need them to help us better understand the story. Suddenly, she was awakened by some strange sounds. They seemed to come from the direction of the mouse's flute. She jumped to her feet. As it grew darker, the sounds became clearer and more melodious, until they seemed to move lightly through the air, like an invisible string of silver and gold. Never have Geraldine heard anything so beautiful. Music, she thought. This must be music. She listened all through the night until the first glow of dawn filtered through the dusty window panes. I've highlighted some words: music, Geraldine, mice, and cheese. Your teacher's going to pause the video and talk to you about if these are important key details that will help you better understand the story or not important key details. Did you say that these are important key details? You're right. We need to know that Geraldine had never heard music and that she found a big piece of cheese. These are key details. We also know that Geraldine is the main character, and the mice are other characters that help her along the way through the text. The details about the other noises, the strange sounds that they talk about on these pages, Geraldine heard, helped me imagine where she lives, but the story still makes sense without them. These are not key details. In Seesaw today, you are going to be circling one key detail on this page from Geraldine the Music Mouse. You're circling one key detail on this page. What is one key detail that helps you better understand the story? Don't forget to click the green check to submit.